All right. First of all, I appreciate Ms. Tate coming to see us today. Like I told you a little bit earlier, that one of the things that we want to accomplish this year is to have a larger social footprint in social media. And now I'm from old school. I would say you were the public relations person, but I don't know if that's the working title now.
Yeah, it is.
But public relations, and she is the public relations liaison, or excuse me, and she's going to be talking about some of the do's and don'ts of social media and ethics. We've got a young man over there. Just signal him when you want to go to the next slide.
All right.
And then let us get a copy of that slide presentation,
Gotcha.
and maybe we can incorporate that into our video. Okay? All right, so we need to put our phones up, give her your undivided attention. Thank you for being
All
here.
right, thank you. Again, he says, I'm Brittany Tate. I am the Public Relations Specialist for the Glenn County School System. This is now my start of my second year here. So what that encompasses is all the communications that go on within the school system as well as our social media presence. So we have a Twitter, a Facebook, and an Instagram account. So that's where you will find most of the information that is dealing with your schools if there's something going on that's pressing. If you could go to the next slide. Today I have included a video to show you just how important social media is and how it affects pretty much everybody in this room. Can you turn down the light? During this video, I want y'all to tell me if you see any similarities of what you do and if this is what you are doing right now in the past.
The standard for how long a commercial is. Because we don't sit there and watch 60-second commercials anymore. We watch like 30-second commercials. And also, too, most of you know that on social media, it puts that little thing that says you could skip this ad in 5, 4, 3. How many of you skip the ad? I do a lot of times. All right? So these devices are actually physically changing the way we process the world. I'm going to give it back to you.
You're fine, that was perfect. So how many of y'all saw yourselves in this video? Because I know I did. Couple? Yeah.
Not quite as much.
Not as much, but do you spend a lot of time like when you go home and you're laying in the bed and you're on your social media account and you see your like 1 hour goes by and next thing you know it's midnight and you're like, oh, where did the day go? That's a clear example of why you should cut down on some of the time that you spend on social media. It's easy to go down a rabbit hole when there's nowhere else to look at, when you have TV and there's not much on. If you have no hobbies or anything like that, that's what most people tend to resort to. So if you look here, you'll see that it says that there are more than 200 social media sites out there. The most popular being Facebook, which has 2.23 billion users, Instagram that has 700 million, and Twitter that has 335 million users. Snapchat comes in really close at 200. So what does that mean? That means that whatever you post has the opportunity to reach 2.23 billion people. And as most of us are in here aware, we don't know that many people. So if there's things that you're posting outside of your intended circle and it goes viral, what do you think happens? You have people across the state staring at stuff that you may not want out there. You think if you had this cute photo that you thought was cute, your friends thought were cute, and then they spread it on social media, went viral, and now you have, say, some man in a corner somewhere watching you and paying attention to all your activity. Now you're opening yourself up to people who you would know in other circumstances have them meet you otherwise. So what does that mean for you as far as the positivities of social media? You can connect with the schools that you're possibly looking at to join maybe after you graduate. You might want to, there might be a company that you're looking at that you're interested in joining. And there's organizations out there that you might want to join as well. But again, there are quite bad side effects to social media on the outside. So.
And I'll give you an example. Every year, Mr. Quillen will attest to this, every year they give us a presentation for the lawyers that represent teachers. And more you see where some kind of photograph was posted of a teacher online, gets that teacher fired. All right? Because they're not careful or they're not or they don't realize that something's going on in the background of a photograph, and something that they might feel is not inappropriate, a parent or a supervisor might think is inappropriate, and then that ends up getting you fired. And that's not just teachers.
No.
That is across the board for industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Can anybody think of some recent times where you've seen somebody lose their job over posting something online? Yes.
The director of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn,
Mhm.
was fired from Volume 3 for tweets from over 10 years ago.
Exactly. What you post online never disappears. It is still there for people to go back and look at.
And what you need to realize too is when you agree to like your Facebook, Twitter, and everything, you don't realize in that fine print it says whatever you post becomes the property of Facebook, becomes the property of Twitter. So it's no longer yours to control.
Yep.
They have the final say in what they do with those images.
Exactly. And if you think that those privacy settings on your Facebook and Instagram accounts mean that your page is actually private, no. There are hackers out here today who can actually go into a different website and pull those photos. That's why we have such popular shows like Catfish out, because people are doing that. And it's not going to stop unless you control what you post. So, yeah. Next slide, please. Now, so here are some of my do's and don'ts list. Of course, there's more do's and don'ts out there, but I just wanted to make it a little bit digestible for everybody to read. So be selective in your choices. It says you don't have to accept every friend request that comes your way. That is very true because, like Catfish, you don't know who you're friending unless you actually know them in real life. You keep that in mind when you're going online and you're say you're going to look for your new roommate when you go to college. Make sure you do some thorough background checks on them. Like you can contact your school and you can ask them, who's my roommate going to be? You can find that information out rather than just accepting that friend request and taking that as truth, like for the face value. Model good online behavior. So our online activity may feel private, but we all know that it leaves a permanent mark. We had just spoken about that earlier. So if you don't want those comments to come back and haunt you, be mindful of what you're posting. And practice positivity. Not everybody wants to see the dumpy stuff that people post online about, I'm having a bad day because, I lost a shoe, something like that. If you like a post, like it. If you got encouraging words to say, go ahead and comment. If you're going to act impulsively on social media, let it be this way instead of the other. And then also move toward face-to-face interactions. It's easy to get stuck behind the screen and to use our Twitter fingers to talk about whatever. If you have conversations or even conflict with somebody, move toward a space where you can sit down and have a conversation about things that you both have in common and things that you might not always have in common. It's a good learning experience because sometimes we get so removed from talking to people that we just stick behind a screen.
And talking to industry, one of the things that people are saying to us, giving us feedback, industry giving Golden Ox College and Career Academy feedback, is that their new employees don't know how to talk face to face without emotion getting involved because they get too emotional. All right, and that's probably because there's absolutely no emotion other than emoji when you use social media. All right, but when you're talking to somebody face to face, sometimes you might have a certain inflection in your voice that you don't mean to have, but they take it the wrong way. All right? So it's important that you do have that face time to learn how to change the subtleties of your conversation.
Absolutely. All right. And of course, it's important that we spend more time away from the phone. I know, have you all gone on vacation this past summer? No? Okay. For those who have, how much time would you say you would spend on your phone taking photos of your food or some great thing you saw? Spend a lot of time, right? Yeah, it's not hard to get caught up in those times. If you have something, you say, oh, that's so cute. Let me post this for my friends. Let me show them. You're removing yourselves from people around you. And then you become, less social in the aspect. So it's important, of course, spend some time doing other hobbies that you might not have, or look for hobbies that you could potentially pick up. With that you could also, you need to put down the phone when it's time to go to bed, because I don't know about you, when I get off work, I have some times where I lay in the bed and I'm looking through my social media feed, just seeing what everybody's got going on, right? And then, of course, it's 11 o'clock. And then now your sleep cycle is off because you know you have to be up at 6, maybe some of y'all 7 to get to school. So you're losing out on that valuable sleep time that you really do need. Also, it's also important to be present in the moment. So if you're out with your friends, just put the phone down. It's not going to kill you to have just a few minutes to talk to your friends and to be with your parents because, as you know, they're seeing you grow up and they want to spend as much time with you as possible before you go off to school.
Yeah, I've had that problem. My two daughters will go out to dinner, and my daughters will be on their cell phone the entire time. And I'm sitting there trying to have a conversation with
Yeah.
them. So we've gotten to the point now where, you know, when the food gets there, phone put up.
All right. Well, this was a very short list of the do's. Are there some do's that some of y'all have in mind? What can you do to make social media positive for you and for others?
Present a positive message.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Make sure that you know what's in your photographs.
Yes.
All right. Don't just snap something. You know, if you're at a party and some people are doing something that they ain't supposed to be doing, and you get them in the background. Guess what that association link is?
Yep.
That's you. So,
All right. You can go ahead to the next one. All right. Some of our don'ts. Don't be fake. That's the easy one. Social media is basically a smokescreen for people who try to hide behind it. But you've got to admit, it's exhausting to try and keep up appearances. Be yourself. Your friend requests you, the real you. That's why they want to see you online. So be yourself. Social media is only a thing of right now. We don't know what the next big thing is going to be. But right now, if you be yourself and you post things that aren't going to put you in a predicament, you should be fine. So. The next one, don't believe everything you read. I know a lot of you have seen the hashtag fake news. That's true. There's a lot of fake news out there, but it's up to you guys to be investigative about your research. Go on these websites and don't just use one website. Go on multiple websites and look for the truth. Like if you want to watch Fox News, if you want to watch CNN, if you want to read the Washington Post, that's fine. And just as much news as you possibly can, but don't take one thing for face value. So it says, if Facebook is your primary source of news, it is time to branch out for you. Consider the author of each post, article, or blog you read and read it carefully. And before accepting information as truth and stamping it on your approval. Next, don't post commentary, content, videos, or images that put you or someone else in a bad light. That's self-explanatory. If you have someone in the background with, say, a cup of alcohol behind you, and you post that photo, now it looks like you are also drinking as well, and that might not always be the case. So, honestly, what you post can always come back and haunt you, especially if you're looking to join the workplace. Because, like I said earlier, these jobs have programs to go into your websites, whether it is private or not, to see what you have all posted. So if you have something on your page that doesn't look good, they're probably not going to hire you because you look like a liability to them. Also, and just because you can tweet it does not mean you should. I say the old adage, if you don't want your parents to see it, don't post it. That's the best way to put it. It creates excessive drama. Some things that you post on there might not be intended to be negative, but it could be taken that way. Have you ever gone online and seen people going back and forth about politics? And you see how nasty it turns really quickly? That's a good example. Just because you believe you have the right information or you found this one website that has the know-all, be-all about politics and you think you're the smartest one in the room, it's not always the case. You should always, whenever you're disagreeing with someone online, if you know them personally, have a sit down, give them a call. It will not hurt to talk to people face to face. And that's just all the don'ts that I have. If anybody has any more don'ts, that would be great to add. What shouldn't you do on social media?
I'll give you an example.
All right.
How many of y'all have ever seen a fight at school? How many people whip out their phones and start recording the fight? Just about all of them.
Yep.
Just about all of them. It's not necessary to post somebody fighting on YouTube.
Nope.
All right? Now, if you don't, I think the school system's policy is that the person that posted is liable to be suspended
Yep.
or some other punitive action
Yep.
taken against them if they post that. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure if I go back to the 1950s, somebody got in a fight at school.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Sometimes it just happens. All right? It's that lack of visual communication face to face. That's usually what triggers it. Somebody says something about their mama, somebody says something about their daddy. Next thing you know, it's on. Okay? All right? They don't know how to articulate their disagreement.
Yeah.
Okay? So what they do is they fall back to the insults. All right? You need to control that. All right? Okay? Some of the other things that I was hoping to talk about, maybe you could help
Yeah,
us,
absolutely.
is since we are trying to have a bigger social media presence, this is kind of the structure that I would like for our social media accounts. Now, I haven't broken down into groups yet, but I've been working on what groups we're going to need for this project, and I'm pretty sure we're going to start out with GICA, and then we want to be able to post our social media accounts to, I'm thinking the Georgia Graphic Arts Teachers Facebook and Twitter accounts, the Georgia Video Teachers Facebook and Twitter accounts, to the base high schools, because we want other people that don't come out to GICA to know what's going on at GICA. All right? I hope that everybody in this room, if I ask you to raise your hand, that your environment out here has been a positive one for you. Okay? We want to share that positive view. All right? Also, we want to try to get our middle schools involved. All right? Because those are kind of our feeder schools to the Golden Knives College and Career Academy. And then we also want the Board of Education to be able to say, this is what's going on at GICA and everything like that. Now, this is kind of how we want to set it up. We want to do social media, YouTube, and we want to have photographs. And if you've ever dealt with social media, it's a beast. It's got to be fed every day. It's got to, at least every other day.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So we're looking to have videos and photographs and other ways to communicate via our social media of the positive place that Golden Knives College and Career Academy is. Okay? Mr. Pullen, do you have any insights you want to add? I don't feel like
How does our website work for us for the school system? Is there something that you think needs to change with what we have, or something that we do well, something that we do well with our own?
Social media or?
Yeah.
You know what? Y'all are doing actually okay, pretty okay. Y'all post regular content that is meaningful to other people who might be chiming in and seeing what you guys have going on. But of course, videos are the thing of right now. So people want to see visuals. They want instantaneous information at their fingertips. That's usually in a video form. So the more time you spend doing videos, and of course photographs will always go a long way. So spend a lot of time with your videos, spend a lot of time gathering those photos and creating like content that that's going to drive people to your content.
I know that when we had the open house, I had some parents come, and they were basically saying, what is my child going to be doing in here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping, and like I told them, I'm hoping, all you got to do is go to our Facebook page,
Yeah.
and you'll know what your child was doing out here. All right? Some of y'all probably don't want your parents to know what you're doing out here. But, all right? But I'm telling you, most of the stuff that's going on out here is positive. All right? But again, this social media has basically changed the world. That's one of the reasons I wrote down these 7 things, or 6 things, how social media has been changing the world and everything like that. And the number 1 is across industry, social media is going from a nice to have to an essential component of any business strategy, selling their brand. All right? GICA's brand needs to be sold. The Glenn County School System's brand needs to be sold. All right? We can't just rely on a note home to the parents. All right? Because I guarantee you, out of this room, if I send a note home with every single one of you, only about 10% of you would even pass the note on to your parents. You put it in your book bag, and guess what? It stays in the book bag. All right? But if we can give your parents and people outside the Golden Knives College and Career Academy an opportunity to see what's going on, I hope with this social media presence that people say, man, I want my kid to go out there. I want my child to go out there. All right? And so that is why we're going from nice to have to essential. All right? And I think you would agree with that.
No,
most
absolutely.
industry now.
Absolutely.
I thought this was interesting. Social media platforms may be the banks of the future. All right? Believe it or not, I've been reading this book, Messing with the Enemy, Surviving in the Social Media World of Hackers, Terrorists, and Russians. And one of the things that he said that kind of caught me off guard was that in some of the poor countries, they don't have television stations. They don't have radio stations. All they have is this device that has a signal, and it's connected them to the world. But guess what? They didn't have laptop computers or computers. So they're not used to going to Google. They're used to going straight to their social media and find out what's going on in the world. That's their link to the world. All right? And what they've done is they found a way to interact with their banking. If you go to a poor country and you get in a taxi, they don't carry change. They don't do something like that. What you do is you just connect to their phone and you automatically transfer money using social media to do that. I thought that was pretty wild. All right? Social media is shaking up healthcare and public health. I was reading about that. Everybody got one of these handouts, right? Okay. I was pretty wild because I have a condition, medical condition, it's called achalasia. And it's where I can't digest food, all right, properly. But I'm in an achalasia support group on my Facebook, and some of the problems that I was having, I could read solutions that was practical to people, not some medical prescription or something like that. It was practical to me because of my medical condition. So this one kind of hit home for me. All right? They're also able to work on apps now that take your blood pressure, that take your temperature. All right? So you don't even, if the doctor needs information about you, you just turn your phone on and press it to your wrist, and guess what? It takes your temperature, all kinds of, that touch screen, you know how it works, right? Apply pressure and heat to it. And if y'all don't know, that's actually paper underneath there. Did you know that? That's under your glass? It's paper that's so thin you can see through it, but that's the fibers that are moving is what causes that. And the company that makes that is the paper mill right up over in Jessup, I think. And that's all they make is paper for cell phones. And they're making it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Okay? All right. Social media is changing the way we govern or are governed. The President of the United States uses social media to communicate with the public. Now, there's a lot of pluses and minuses to that, but that's the way government is starting to deal. Also, too, how many times when there's been a hurricane, how many evacuated? How many of y'all evacuated here when a hurricane? Your social media would have alerts, right? Okay? So there we go. It changes the way we are governed because government can instantaneously send out a message and it beeps right there on your phone. That didn't happen when me and Mr. Pullen were your age. All right? You had to hope that you heard something on the radio or you heard something on television. Okay? And again, social media is helping us better respond to disasters. Earthquake. There was actually people trapped in the rubble using their cell phones to tell them, I'm in this building, I'm trapped. All right? And it allowed the rescuers to know which building, instead of digging through a building with nobody in it, they were able to go to a building that had people in it that was texting, please help me, I'm trapped. All right? So it's helping people respond to disasters. All right? Social media is helping us take some of the world's biggest challenges from human rights to climate change. You know, I hate to bring up this negative stuff, but how many times in the past couple of years have we seen somebody shot because somebody had a cell phone or social media posted of the shooting? You know, we see that. That's the world we live in. All right? And again, I'm trying not to go negative, but you know that's the kind of thing I'm thinking. Human rights, that kind of stuff. You know? And I'm not sure about climate change, but I guess, there's somebody up in the North Pole sending information down to the South Pole, and then that South Pole sending it to Washington, D.C., where scientists are collecting that data. Right? And that's another thing. These things are excellent data collection devices. Okay? But we gotta use it positive. Right? We've got to use it to our benefit. If we're using it social media, and that's what's interesting about this book, I never realized how weaponized social media can become. All right? And that's not just governments, that's individuals. All right? Now, one of the stories that I want to share with you, there was one of the social media accounts, I'm not sure which one, there's a TED Talk on it. So I did try to prepare myself for our speaker today, so I tried to watch some things on social media, tried to read up on it a little bit and stuff like that. There was a young lady who was trying to get away from a bad relationship. But she moved away to another state. That's how bad it was. She moved to another state. And she was posting some photographs, and the ex-boyfriend was able to hack into the photograph and get the GPS readings off of it. Tracked her down and killed her. Right? So now, that social media platform scrubs all photographs of the GPS location. And they said that, that's a 1 in a million thing that would happen. Mm-hmm. But when you're dealing with a vast amount of raw data, that 1 in a million things happening 6 times a day. All right? These devices have connected you to the world. All right? You need to understand that. So whatever you post belongs to the world. And our idea here at GICA is to let you assimilate that and have a better understanding of that, so that hopefully you won't have a negative encounter on social media. Right? And I'd be careful about what you post about ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends and stuff like that, because that's evidence. You're harassing me. You are attacking me. You are whatever. Right? So be aware of that too. Okay. I've done my monologue there.
No, I'm done. No.
So one of the things we want to do is, these are our contacts. Now, let me ask you this. Do we need to go through you first? In other words, have the GICA and then Board of Education and then all these other schools
To post stuff?
to post stuff? Anything like that?
No.
Maybe like send it to you first, give it 24 hours before we post it anywhere else?
It depends on what you're posting. If it's something as simple as a photo of your class learning something new, you don't have to send it to me. You can just,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. Well, I just want to make sure because,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't think social media's been a big part of the Glenn County school
No,
system
it's
background.
relatively new now.
Yeah. And I had thought we were a little bit behind the
Yeah.
times on that, but we're getting there. But I think what it is administrators and bosses hear so much negative things because they can get out of control
Yeah.
fast.
Absolutely.
All right? They've been a little negative, but I think they've had to buy into it because, again, it's going from nice to have to an essential.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the way we communicate now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to open up the floor. I need some questions, folks. I need to see if you hear what I'm talking about. Anybody? Got anything? An example of something? It's got to be because it's the 3rd day of school, y'all. 2 weeks from now, y'all ain't going to shut up. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for
No,
coming.
no problem.
I appreciate you
No problem.
coming. You are going to have lunch.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Pullen might come, but I'm not sure.
All right.
So,
Did you have anything you wanted to add? Oh, no problem. No problem.
hey, make sure we save that.
Video folks, I need you